Hello and welcome to the Omni Talk Fast 5, sponsored by Takeoff and Fast Sensor. Today is December 23rd, 2020, and it is a great day, my friends, because today is our annual award show. I am your host, Chris Walton, and I am joined, as always, by the Amazon customizable Ann Mazinga, and of course, everyone's favorite intern, Emma, the intern. Woohoo! Are you guys ready for this one? This is my favorite show of the year. I can't wait.
This is the best time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year, some might say.
Ooh, I've heard that before somewhere. Where have I heard that? I'm not quite sure. Emma, how are you dealing with your newfound fame? Like the whole most famous intern discussion of all time got a lot of play last week. I was quite surprised. Like, are you still coping with this newfound success fairly well?
Yeah, it's definitely a change in lifestyle for me, but it's going well. I like it.
Yeah, I got some. Oh, go ahead.
You've retreated to New York, to the woods of New York, just to get some solace from all this newfound fame we hear.
Yes, that is definitely
yeah. Yeah, people were like, "Hey, you forgot one famous intern." I was like, "Oh shit, we did. That's right, Monica Lewinsky. I totally forgot that. Thank you."
I was gonna say that, but I was maybe that's too far.
I didn't even think of it. My head was on De Niro and what was the other guy, Ann, that you came up with? Ross the intern. Yeah, mine was on those two. I didn't even think about Lewinsky, which is just classic. But thanks to loyal listener Mr. Chop for reminding us of that.
Yes.
But hey, we've got an awesome show today. Like, we've got a great list of awards. We're gonna cover Retailer of the Year, CEO of the Year, Headline of the Year. We don't even know where the show's gonna go. We're just gonna have a blast. We're gonna end the year, and then we're gonna take about a 10-day hiatus at Omni Talk, which I know we're all kind of excited about because it's been a busy year. But before we get started, I wanted to whet your guys' appetites. And Ann, let's start with you. I thought I'd come up with a question that has, you know, just kind of an award feel, but isn't really a retail award, but sort of is. But maybe we won't start with Ann because I think Ann is fretting. Let's start with Emma. Let's start with Emma instead. I'm just playing it by ear here today. That's what we're gonna do. These guys have no idea what's coming for those of you that are listening. But Emma, I have this question to start us off. If Retail 2020 was a movie, and Ann, you might know this because I dropped mine yesterday. I don't know how close you were paying attention. But if Retail 2020 was a movie, yeah, I didn't think you were. What movie would it be?
Okay, so you kill me with your movie references because I am not a movie person. I've probably seen 10 in the last 10 years. But I'm going to go with, I can only pull one scene. To me, it kind of reminded me of from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Cameron Fry, like going into his chaotic kind of downward spiral. And for I think about the pool scene where he's down in the pool and Ferris saves him. And for grocers, that was the moment where they're like, oh, wow, people are still really shopping for food. This is great. And for everyone else, I imagine them just kind of staying at the bottom of the pool and just kind of sulking in what 2020 was.
Wow, that is like the deepest, darkest thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. My God, wow, that's a great scene too. What a fabulous memory. I love that movie. That's such a good movie too. So
Ferris Bueller, you're my hero.
Oh, totally. That movie's so underrated, by the way. I don't think people.
That might be my favorite movie of all time.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's so good, and it still holds up too, I think. But Ann, what's yours?
So I have to say that this 2020 retail and life depiction in a movie would be like Inception, where everything feels like a dream. You are in the dream, building what you think will be a solid foundation to survive the dream. And then super weird, only in a dream shit happens. There's mandatory lockdowns and closures are happening. Staircases are going up and when you thought they were going down. You keep on building this dream architecture. Yeah. More things keep breaking, and then you get to the point where you think you've almost fixed it, and then buildings and cities are literally crumbling to the ground and disappearing, and shops and buildings are crumbling to the ground. And then at the end of it, you have these two random kids whose heads are down in screens for some reason, not paying attention to anything. You can't see their face the whole time. And in the end, you still don't even know if you're still in the dream or if it's reality and what the hell is going on. And I've definitely given us an explicit rating for this podcast.
Well, yeah, we already have the parental
We've had
advisory.
2 swears, so heads up.
Yeah, and I had one too. To borrow from Ferris Bueller, one of my favorite lines, listening to Ann talk about it. So that's how it is in Ann's family. I think that's another kind of morbid picture. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit of flavor and color to this one. I'm gonna try to make some humor. But I think this year, when you look at retail, it's been like the 40-year-old virgin. It's like all these retailers woke up after years and years, and maybe not virgin, but born again virgins. They're like, they have no idea, like, you know, what the hell to do, how things are going to work. And the cool thing about that is you just learn it. Like you go and you figure out, no one knows what the hell they're doing the first time on so many levels, depending on where you want to go with that. And let your minds wander because it's Christmas. But like, that's how it is. And it's cool to see everybody kind of fumbling around in the dark, as Ann talked about, around these weird staircases to figure out, you know, what the heck are the right answers. And there's some really, really cool stuff coming out from everything that's been happening. And we're going to hit on that. I mean, I looked at that when I was doing my background for the top headlines of the year. This year was awesome. And a lot of the headlines had like literally not even that much to do with COVID that were cool. But, you know, that was always in the background as they were happening. But like this year, the headlines were unreal. And so I can't wait to get to that. But let's start out first. Let's do it first. And Retailer of the Year. Who wins it for you?
Okay. Retailer of the Year for me, this is going to be kind of one of those gotchas. I mean, there was definitely the big Walmarts and Targets that passed through because they had such a great year. But for me, the Retailer of the Year is Facebook.
Facebook.
You want me to go into it? Yeah.
No, I just want you to say Facebook. I don't really want you to give any rationale because, you know, the listeners, they're just like, I just want to hear what Ann says, and then I'm just going to go on with my work.
Okay.
Boom.
So for me, the Retailer of the Year is Facebook. And some might say they are not a retailer, but we've talked about it a lot on the podcast this year about how when we're looking at, you know, really going up against Amazon, we're looking at the changes that we all experienced this year, where you're discovering product, who owns, you know, product in the moment and purchasing. And I think that, you know, Facebook is kind of become this true marketplace of a bunch of retailers, whether they're large scale retailers or small mom and pops. Like you now can go to this Facebook universe, whether that's on Facebook or Instagram, and you've found a way to shop a virtual equivalent of the mall. And so for me, I think that we're only going to see more as social commerce just kind of bubbles up and becomes just commerce now.
Okay, Facebook. That's a good pick. I mean, that's way better than Kroger last year. I'm never going to let you live that one down. You and Emma, that was yours, I think, too, last year, right, Emma?
They did a lot last year. It was really cool.
They did the Krogies, which I can't even find the videos of anymore. But like, I think that's a good pick. I mean, it's hard to argue that one. Emma, what's yours?
I am giving it to Walmart.
Whoa. Okay. Why?
Despite, and it might be controversial.
You have an actual award for those watching.
Yes, definitely.
That's great.
But it might be kind of controversial, especially with what the news that broke last night about, you know, being in a lawsuit over maybe fueling the opioid crisis. But if you leave that on its own, I think Walmart just did so much this year for its customers, so much for its employees. And like they're testing out technology and different ways to change the future of retail, like across all operations of the store. So I just don't see anyone else deserving it other than Walmart.
Yeah, I think another solid pick. Like, yeah, I put Walmart ahead of Target, even though Target's probably financially done better, just because I think you're seeing more about the future with them than Target really riding and capitalizing on the here and now, which I think is important, especially in light of what we do. And the ironic thing about that story too, guess who needs painkillers more than anyone today? Anyone in the U.S. right now, this moment, it's probably Doug McMillon, which I think is fascinating. But mine's good. I'm gonna go off the grid here, guys. I'm curious to see what you say, and I think you're gonna like this. But if I look at who won the pandemic, all right, if I look at it that way, who won the pandemic? I think the companies you guys mentioned, Facebook's great, Walmart's great. I would put Best Buy up there. Sam's Club's done some awesome stuff too. I'm going with, wait for it, Peloton. I think Peloton. Here's why. Wow. I think Peloton could be the next Nike. Now I'm going a little far out there, but look at some of the statistics. 1 million subscribers, 172% increase in sales last quarter. Their churn rate is 0.52%. That's how many subscribers they're losing. They just had this huge acquisition. But I think about it, like the damn treadmill is like the shoe. Nike got into equipment. That's how it all started. Then what did they do? Well, they got into like Jordan and the athletes, and they started getting the endorsements. Emma's looking at me like I'm crazy. But who is that for Peloton? It's all the social media influencers. It's these people that people just follow and crave. And so the avenues for them going forward, I don't think this is a pandemic thing. I think this is just like, holy crap, look at how sticky this thing is. Look how far it can go. And they are now getting their tentacles deep into a lot of people. And the crazy part about this, they haven't even gone to mass yet. And that's still an option out there if they want to do it. So I don't know. I sometimes, you know, it's just good to be lucky, better to be lucky than good. I'm giving it to Peloton this year. I think they crushed it. Go ahead,
They
and
crushed it. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. And yes, I've got some biases because I own gyms also. But let me tell you,
I'm talking retailer though. They are on the verge of being a retailer, not a fitness outlet.
Peloton that award is like giving Target or Walmart or Amazon the award for being best retailer because they were the only ones open. People didn't have a choice. You cannot take that data and use it as a year over year comparison. No way. I am so out of here. And okay.
Emma looks like Emma has this look on her face like something smells bad. Like Emma,
the fiery
what are
Italian
you thinking as I say
out.
that? Because and also just slammed your pick of Walmart there subtly, by the way. So like, what are you
that's
thinking?
Fine.
No, I think Walmart's been doing more things that they can get credit for. I'm saying simply choosing them based on the subscribers have increased, demand has increased. Like people can't go out into the world, and once they can go back out into the world, there's still going to be a need for Peloton. There's still a niche for that for sure, but it's not mass. It's not going to be. So I think it's ridiculous.
What are we talking about all the time? Social commerce, the end-to-end line of social commerce. Peloton has that figured out, and
I'm not saying it's done, but I want to see the numbers when you can go back into the world and exercise and be with other human beings.
Emma, last word on this.
I think you're very wrong, and something that's so inaccessible to the majority of people. Like, how can you name that retailer of the year?
Last year I named Lululemon, and no one had a problem with it. So
that's a little bit more accessible, but like
more accessible. Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So
$98 versus $2,400. Yeah, there's a giant difference there.
It shows about omni-channel retailing and the future. Okay, let's move on. Let's do CEO of the year. Emma, you start.
I'm going with Corey Berry because Best Buy went from something that I think was kind of obsolete to people my age, and now it's hip. People love Best Buy. She's done so much in terms of just bringing it back to life. And their like operations when it comes to curbside pickup, their websites, it's all flawless. So I think that a lot of that has to do with her, and that's why I'm giving it to her.
That's a great pick. I'll jump in here too. That was my pick as well. Like I think when you think of like first year, like freshman year, what she's been able to do and what she's had to face, incredible. That decision to shut down all the stores and go curbside pickup and to find out, you know, early on that you could still do 70-ish% of your volume through that chain was masterful. And to see what they've been doing ever since, like converting stores to shipment centers. Even yesterday news broke that they're now rolling out electronic shelving labels in over 100 stores. Like they're doing all of the things that are the card-carrying hallmarks of like good omni-channel retailing. And they've got a lot of things pointed against them when you look at the types of products that they're carried. I mean, I've told this story before on the podcast. I can remember high up individuals at Target being like, in 2013, Best Buy's dead. Just wait for it to happen. And holy crap, have they just, you know, pivoted against that sentiment. Anne, what do you think here?
Corey was my runner-up because of all the things you guys mentioned, for sure. Like it was a hard decision, but I have to give it to Tobias Lutke of Shopify.
Shopify guy. All right.
I gotta go Shopify, you guys. I mean, you look at I think there's still an under the radar pick too, because I still don't think that people, especially in the retail, you know, world, when we're talking bigger, like older retailers, don't understand the power that Shopify has. They're powering all of the Facebook shops. Like they're the engine behind that. They rolled out Shopify Balance this year to make it simpler for mom and pops to get up online, and that is going to make them much more competitive against the bigger retailers. We're starting to hear about, you know, what they're doing for wholesale on that side too. So like not just front of house and managing online in-store transactions for retailers, but how they're getting product in. And then all of the back end plugins that they're doing, like they are just everywhere.
Yeah.
They are just getting started. I mean, they have 1 million retailers already around the world, and I just think it's going to explode. And the amount of stuff that they're doing to make that seamless for the retailers deserves a lot of credit.
And that's an awesome pick. I mean, yeah, like we go back to the Ferris Bueller conversation, like underappreciated. You're right. If I think back to things that I still don't think people really understand the gravity of how important and big this could be, it's Shopify. Like I feel like every couple of months we're like, holy crap, there's even more this platform can do, you know, and I'm not getting into financial valuations, but like, it still seems like there's a ton of room to grow with Shopify. That's an awesome pick. I mean, other great picks. I'm curious who else came to your guys' mind. For me, like you could go with McMillan or Ferner at Walmart.
For
like
sure.
I think those were, you know, pretty stellar picks as well. I saw somebody put Ferner out earlier this week in Forbes. So I think, you know, that's a great one. I think we lauded him last year, so I just didn't want to do Ferner again because he's also a pretty cool guy and I really enjoy talking to him. But yeah, like
sounds like a little bit of a man crush.
I have a huge man crush on him.
Huh?
Oh my God. Yeah, for sure. Like actually I style my clothing after him at when I keynote too. He does like the open collar and the suit. Like it's good stuff.
Sorry, John Ferner. We'll keep him at bay. We'll keep him in Minneapolis.
But he used to do this cool thing. Like it's riding bikes with John Ferner. He used to like do a podcast video segment thing. And that's just cool shit. Like, God, there I go again. But that was cool stuff.
Okay.
Sorry, Ben Shai.
Okay.
All
Moving on.
And moving on. All right, I'm going to change it up here a little bit. Let's do worst retailer of the year. Let's go in that direction. Enough of this happiness stuff. It's the holidays. You know, let's get a little seasonally depressive. Worst retailer of the year. Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't pick one, so I just picked a blanket of the department store. The department store, you are the worst retailer of the year. If I have to choose one, I'm picking Dillard's.
I almost went that way too. This one's gonna be fun. Dillard's because they like fought to stay open in March.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like this was really hard because one of the other awards that we're going to talk about is best headline. And that was like runner up for me for best headline, that this department store, despite everything else being closed in the nation, still was open. You could still go to Dillard's so that you could, you know, touch things and pass coronavirus to everybody. But yeah. Dillard's for sure.
Diane von Furstenberg dress or whatever it is. Like, that's the only thing I can come up with.
I don't even think that they carry that line anymore.
No, they probably don't. I have no idea.
Or ever. But yeah, it's just legacy department stores, your old strategies. I can't believe that you're still open. And I think it's only because of like, again, legacy lease terms and things that are keeping your doors open. But holy cow, the department store, what are you doing? What are you doing? Worst retailer of 2020.
Yeah, what about you? And to your point that you said before, they had a lot of cards stacked against them this year. Holy crap. Emma, what about you?
I'm also agreeing with the department store. I specifically chose Macy's just because that's one of the only ones I've been in the last year-ish, and I hate it. So I also thought about like JCPenney, and I was like, that's just too bad. That's just like rubbing dirt on it. So I'm going with Macy's and the department store in general because they literally just didn't change. They are so irrelevant to most people.
Yeah. Emma, I love how you just kind of, you know, tell it like it is. You know, what's really on your mind? How do you really feel? It's good.
Well, yeah, I know I'm not getting hired by those people. So.
You never know.
So total Omni talk, being candid and frank. Those were like the easy picks for me, you guys. I mean, if you listen to this show, you know, I mean, how many times have we talked about Macy's, and then we put out that picture of Jill Saltow from JCPenney's and we were like, guess what year this is, right? Like that was just really funny. So I think that was like the low hanging fruit, but I came up with some other ones that I want to throw your guys' way because I want to see how you think about this. But I thought of two, and then I got to tell you, late last night, actually early this morning, I came away with the runaway winner, which totally surprised me. And I hate being like the last minute, but I think it's right. So the first two that came to mind were Simon and Authentic Brands, you know, thinking that they can now be a retailer, and the fact that they bought up Lucky and Brooks Brothers and they want to put that inside of like JCPenney stores and think it's going to make a difference. I think that's just freaking hilarious. So that was number one until last night. The other one is actually going to surprise the hell of a lot of people, is actually Costco. I think Costco's recalcitrance against curbside pickup is not smart. I don't think it's good. I think it is not where the industry's going. It is not what people want. And we've talked about all the things with same day delivery and Instacart and all the things we'll get into later. Like, I'm just surprised that they've been going in that direction, especially right now when people need it. So they almost made my list. But
I think it's just been too long since you had a Costco hot dog. I think
oh my God, that's like the worst thing ever. I hate hot dogs. You know that. Like, I just want to throw up. Oh God, hot dogs are the grossest food. Hot dogs are my gravy, or they're like your gravy.
I know.
Like,
I know.
By the way, everyone out there, Ann hates gravy. But anyway,
I hate gravy.
This one, and this was under the radar screen. I sent this to Ann and Emma this morning. I'm going to give it to OTG, because OTG, if you're not familiar, they're the outfit that runs convenience stores at airports, signed a deal to license Just Walk Out technology with Amazon. I can't for the life of me understand why you would do that, because you are teaching Amazon, one, the convenience store business, which they're already trying to learn, and two, the convenience store business at airports. And that is the exact goddamn thing that Amazon did in the late 90s when they licensed their e-commerce platform to Toys R Us, Target, and everyone else, and they figured out how to be a retailer better than everyone else. So OTG, why in the heck would you do that? And for those listening, that store just opened up in Newark Airport. I think it was last week. Mm-hmm. Very under the radar headline, very important headline. I think very ominous as you look into 2021 and what that means. But so for that, late breaking news, I got to give it to them, to be honest with you. What do you think there?
And that's Cibo Express, right? Like that's the name that you see on the store out front in the airport.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, you had a lot of good picks, Chris. I don't know. I think that this.
Would you put any of yours down? I'm curious. Were like any of those picks, like, would you supersede the department store? Was the department store in general, Macy's in general, but does that still rise to the top for you guys? Is that the cream in your coffee today?
That's the cream, and that's the cream in my eggnog today. Yes, it is definitely. Yeah, I'm sorry. I gotta save with department stores.
What's cream in their eggnog? That's disgusting.
That's a major
eggnog?
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh God, I put maybe booze in it, but I don't put like milk in my eggnog.
I put booze in there too, obviously.
Oh my God, hot dogs and creamy eggnog? Oh my God. All right, anyway, we gotta move.
It's gonna make me vomit. Keep going. Let's move on.
We gotta move to favorite headline. All right, favorite headline of the year. Ann, why don't you do this one first?
Okay, like I said, the close runner-up was this department store is still open despite the pandemic. But my favorite headline of the year is that Amazon and mall operator look to turning Sears and JCPenney stores into fulfillment centers. And the reason that I love this headline was because it was one of the most divisive headlines that we put out, for me at least, throughout this entire year of 2020. And I think that the reason that I love this is that it exposed for me the legacy thinkers who are like, these are what malls are. Right. This is how malls have to be. There's no changing this. You're not going to get around regulation. You're not going to get around lease terms. You're not going to get around all these things. And the dreamers, the people who really believe that there's potential here. And by all means, you guys, Amazon is going to do it. If anybody's going to do it, they can, and they will change regulations, and they have the power to do it. It's just going to take a little time. So I love this headline because I think it just brought to light for a lot of people, like, and I will mark that down. Like, I will save that post of all of the people who are like, this is never going to happen. You're crazy. Because I want to show them that. I want to go back, in our time machine in 3 years and be like, remember when you said that Amazon couldn't do this, and now they own the entire mall and they're fulfillment centers and they've got everything streamlined. Yeah,
no, you're right. The degree of saltiness and crustiness on your social post on that was nuts. I mean, it was like an 80-year-old's underwear. It was bad.
Yuck.
But I didn't think, there's one you forgot that I actually thought you would have picked, which was
what was it?
Panera's coffee subscription. I thought that was maybe going to make your list.
I'm not giving that any more attention.
You hated that. Do you remember that? God, everyone loved that. Tom Gahani, like lots of people were all over that. Emma, what was yours?
Mine's really boring, but I chose how Target rolled out fresh grocery pickup nationwide. Huh. And I chose that because it was very applicable to me, and that Target is my go-to for food. And that was like the first moment where I was like, man, I really don't have to get out of my car to grocery shop. I can really do it from my couch. I don't have to spend an hour doing laps around the store looking for my firm tofu package. And like someone else can do that. It just
tofu.
I didn't know there was such a thing. I had no idea different degrees of firmness of
there's extra firm, firm, and then it goes down to like pretty much falls apart in your hand.
Soy vey. But hey, I had no idea. All right.
So all my vegetarians out there. I chose that one.
that is amazing. Okay, man, I did not think you guys would go that direction. Okay, so like this was my favorite of all the awards this year. This was my favorite one because there's so many cool things. But like, okay, here's what didn't make the list. I thought one of you guys would say that. I thought, Emma, you would say this. Sephora and Kohl's. I thought that would be right up there. I thought that was super cool. You had Centennial Malls trying to make, a mall e-commerce marketplace. Nike cutting ties with their distributors. I thought that was cool. The Happy Returns FedEx partnership. You've got Amazon Fresh. I mean, so many things. And so for me, but it came down to two. It came down to Pepsi creating its own snacks.com URL, which I think is fascinating. And the other one was Instagram Shops, the change of the homepage. Those were the two. Which one do you think I picked?
Instagram Shops.
I did. Yes, I did. You know me so well. I totally did. Because I think that's momentous. I think the shift of the homepage to shopping and just the shot across the bow to all retail to say, we are going after this. And you already alluded to it. And in terms of calling Facebook your retailer of the year, in reality, I probably could have picked them too for this reason. But like, that is a big moment. Mark it down. We should write the date down of when that was. Because that's going to be I think a seminal moment in retail here as we go forward. It's going to be fascinating to watch. But talk about a list of headlines. My least favorite headline of the year, I didn't ask you guys in this in prep, but for me, it was anything related to standard cognition, because I am so tired of reading about how those guys are going to blow the doors off everything. And they even said it to us on our podcast. And like, here I am 3 months later. Okay, yeah, you've got a 250, square foot store-ish in like Texas, but like, what's coming? I haven't seen it yet. And you talked a big game for a long time. So like, where's it at? And I don't see it. So like, every time I see that, I'm always kind of, how much do I, read into this or not?
I was a little surprised it wasn't Kohl's off-mall strategy is going to save them. That was a good close runner-up for me too.
That's a good one, Ann. Yeah, that was a tough read too. Like, I just couldn't buy into that. I mean, there's always a lot of those, which is why we do what we do to kind of call it like it is. But like, I think that was the one that stood out for me of like, hey, we're gonna have 3,000 stores in Tokyo. That never happened. And then like, we're gonna have something big here in the next 3 months. And I'm still not sure kind of what that is. But because they're probably listening, I know they are. I am all ears when it comes. Tell me, because I want to know about it and we can talk about it on the show, and happy to do that. So, all right, next up. This is always a fun one. Let's do retail technology of the year. Emma.
Okay, so I'd love to know Anne's experience with her custom fit tee on Amazon prior to saying this, but the technology that I am most excited about is that, because I know that like cashierless tech is that was up there, but I was like, that's been in the works for a long time. Whereas this custom fit apparel, that like can totally change the apparel retail landscape. And it is like mega news from Amazon to be able to do that, all pending on whether or not Anne's shirt sucks or it's really great.
Well, that's a good segue, and God knows where this is going to go. And for those watching, Anne is wearing her custom fit t-shirt. She's standing. Do the twirl, Anne. Twirl. Come on. There you look at that.
They can't see me because you're talking, but I'll turn around. I love this t-shirt. Love.
Perfect.
Like, scale 1 to 10, how much do you love it?
There are a few things I would tweak down the road, like offering like a little looser fit. There's a lot of stretch happening, so if you don't like stretch in your shirts, but it's so comfortable. The fabric it fits me perfectly. Like, it fits perfectly. I like the look of it. Emma's right. This was a close runner-up for me, especially on Monday when I received it 5 days after I ordered it. It's monogrammed. It's got my name on the tag.
It's monogrammed?
Not monogrammed. My name's on the tag. Okay, what do you call it? Right, I mean, embroidered,
it's
whatever.
Personalized,
whatever. I'm over it. Yeah, no, the t-shirt is great. There's so much more opportunity here too, I think. And like, the more people I talk about this, like, I'm sharing this. I got my son's haircut last night, and I was like telling the people, and they're like, what? $25? Do they have this? And it's this length? And so I think again, Amazon needs some work on getting this message out because nobody can find it and it's not readily available. But once people catch on to this, man, I think it's gonna take off.
So Emma, you staying with that final answer? It sounds like you might.
Yes, I am even more confident.
Even more confident in your answer. All I'm thinking is imagine till they license that to Peloton. But Anne, anyway, what was your favorite tech of the year?
License what to Peloton?
The technology. And then Peloton just starts selling their custom shirts to all their loyal fans that get up every Sunday morning and do that like church. But anyway. That
worked really well for Nordic Track, didn't it? I mean, people are wearing Nordic Track outfits and like all the other things. That's
different beast. Nordic Track's a holdover from the 80s. Different beast. But anyway, we'll see. Keep going.
We'll see, won't we? Okay, so my retail technology of the year is, oh God, it's disgusting. My retail technology of the year is checkout free retail. And I'm going to say specifically Grabango's checkout free retrofit and Amazon Go grocery, because I think those two applications are setting us up for like so much change that it's about to happen. One for the grocery industry and what the future grocery store ends up looking like. And then I think what Grabango did with their the Giant Eagle test store out in Pennsylvania, I think is going to really start to shape, you know, how convenience stores can roll out, whether it's in an airport or it's in, you know, a traditional convenience store on the side of the road. Like not having to close that store down, being able to implement this technology overnight practically, like that is scalable. And you know, Amazon Go grocery takes a little bit more than that, but I still think that Amazon will start to, as they start to roll that Go technology out for grocery, it's going to change so much. So that wins for me for this year.
So for you, it's checkout free. Yeah. For me, I mean, you mentioned Shopify. I think Shopify was huge this year. I think this definitely was, you know, I think one could call it the year of the marketplace, quite honestly. And I think you'll see that continue to evolve. You know, but for me, I think you know what this year called to mind for me, especially, you know, as I made the 40-year-old virgin analogy, was it's about the foundations of omnichannel retailing, you know. And for me, the first thing that you're seeing already, I think, underway, and it's going to happen, I think, fast and furious as you go into 21, is the rooted foundations of cloud commerce. And by that, I mean, people are going to have to upgrade their order management systems to handle all this complexity that Emma, the intern, keeps talking about, that she absolutely loves and adores as the younger generation and how to shop. And retailer systems aren't up for that yet. So I think you're going to see that part and parcel. And then alongside of that, like Eddie Garcia said this year, Chief Product Officer at Sam's Club, what's enabled them to go fast? Cloud point of sale. Those two things interlocked. Everyone's going to have to invest in those and figure out how to do it. I think it's been the year of those two things. And then, Ann, you're right. I think the layer on top of that for me is computer vision. Like, you know, that is going to be the fundamental platform. It's not just for checkout free. I think that's what people need to get, you know, an understanding around. That's a part of it, but it makes your e-commerce operations better. It makes your inventory understanding in store better. And there's 1,000 different ways to Sunday to do that. It can make your consumer experience better by way of checkout free technology. So to me, the winner is really the foundational omnichannel platforms. And to me, that's really cloud commerce systems and computer vision working together. So yeah, cool, fun year on the tech side, without a doubt. All right, this is always a good one. 2 more to go, I think, here before we close it out. Retailer you would drop everything for right now to go and work for. Emma, I know for you it's not Macy's. Who would it be though?
I'm going to go with Essence or Farfetch. They're pretty equal in my playing field, but they are 2 of my absolute favorite retailers because I love the apparel space. I want to do apparel buying at some point in my career. And I think Essence, I definitely would drop everything for because most of their jobs you need to speak French and I don't. So that would be it. Yes. I have about a 2-year-old comprehension level.
Don't let Chris write your reco letter, okay? Please, Emma. Let's find someone else.
Emma, you'll like this. We're actually interviewing Kelly Kowal from Farfetch in January.
Yeah.
At least we have that on the docket, so we're excited about that. Yeah, what about you?
Awesome.
So it was kind of a tie between Lululemon and Facebook.
Okay.
But I picked Facebook. I went with Facebook, number one, because I think that there is so much opportunity. Again, I picked them as best retailer for the year, and I'm going to pick them as the company I drop everything to go to work for. I think that the amount that we are all going to learn from what they do over the course of the next few months is just incredible. And so if I'm gonna leave the joys of being part of the Omni Talk crew, that's who I go to work for.
Yeah, like let's not talk crazy. I mean, this is all fanciful.
And Lululemon, because like I think there's a lot of opportunity in that space too, especially to see what they do next year coming out of the pandemic with the Mirror acquisition. And I'm just into the health and fitness space, and that company I think holds a lot of good values that I align with. So that's who I pick.
Yeah, the Mirror acquisition was another cool headline that almost made my list too, which, similar to Peloton too in a lot of ways. But anyway, like borrowing from, so basically what you're saying, borrowing from Emma. So like in Billy Crystal back in the, what's the movie, When Harry Met Sally, you both would like those companies too. For moi. That's good. I like it. All right. For me, today it's just a bevy of jokes. Today, mine, I would do Facebook. I would take the call from for sure. For me, it's still Walmart. It was last year. It is this year. I think there's things under the radar screen that I'm not going to talk about that I think Walmart could be doing. And so, if they wanted to phone, I would take that call and definitely have that conversation too, because I think that, they're just doing some cool stuff. Hey, Emma, right? You said retailer of the year. I think it's hard to argue. All right. What was your biggest aha moment of 2020 from a retail standpoint? Nothing personal. Just from a retail standpoint, biggest aha, like what is the thing when you look back on it now, you're like, damn, I didn't know that. Or how did I not see that coming? Anne.
I'm starting?
Yes.
Okay.
I hope so.
My biggest aha moment of the year is probably that discovery does not need to happen in person anymore. I think we saw this happen in so many ways this year. Namely, I keep talking about Facebook and Instagram, but we always talked about before the pandemic, like going to the store was a reason to get confidence in your purchase, to touch things, to feel things, to try things on, just to experiment. And Instagram, I think, has changed that. Things like live streaming, we just talked about, like those types of things, chat functions, like I am able to communicate so much better now with the brands that I want to try out and experiment with. And I think that brands have gone above and beyond to really provide, like, look, we're going to ship this to you, whether it's your chocolate milk that you bought from Facebook, Chris, or, an Amazon custom fit t-shirt. Like, I don't need to be in person to see that anymore. They've made it so simple, and much of this because they didn't have a choice. Like, we just couldn't go shopping at the malls or in person like we could these last few months. But I think that that's for me the number one thing that people are willing to give it a shot if you make it convenient for them to do so.
Well, I think you could argue that actually discovery is easier online now, right? I think you've shown like it's almost better online than it is in a physical store, because you can see so much and it's personalized to you. And we've been arguing that for a long time. And I think, you probably have seen that come to fruition. Emma, what about you? Emma, the intern.
Going kind of off of Anne's story, I'm going with Instagram is the app for everything. And I find myself literally only shopping on Instagram, kind of, especially for discovery. Like, you can shop all of the retailers that I like that I usually just go to their individual websites. Like, why? When I can just look them up on Instagram, you can buy directly off of Instagram most of the time. Like, that is where it's at for me in terms of retail.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think you guys are hitting on something too. Corso actually, in their retail awards, I thought had their last award was really funny. They said like worst prediction, experiential retail, which I think you guys are hitting on, because I hate that term because you don't know what it means. Like it actually is so all encompassing. It means nothing. And so when you hear somebody talk about that, I think you got to look kind of askew and really click in and ask them questions like, what are you actually talking about that retailers should do? Because there's a whole host of things that can define people's experiences. And generally what they're talking about is the sheer social act of being out somewhere in the world. And that's really different than like discovery, inspiration, things of that nature that you're talking about. But a lot of times people are really leaning into that stuff when they're talking about it. And that's an uphill battle. And I don't think people are talking about that enough. For me, it's Emma, mine's a little bit of an offshoot on yours. And it was actually the moment that hit me like a lightning bolt was last week, actually, when you said you buy pet food same day. And I couldn't understand why. And so what it got me thinking about, and it inspired an entire article in Forbes, is that same day delivery is now a merchandisable event in the minds of consumers. So that is now a separator. It's a delineator. And so as I start to think about Instacart, DoorDash, I can't stop thinking about like what the mashup of them with Facebook could be, what Walmart and TikTok could be, maybe even Ship, Target, and something else. But ultimately, like what it's going to me is that there's like this ultimate mashup of an ultimate evolution of two mega marketplaces, Amazon and something else on the other side, duking it out for wherever we are in our mind space in that social sphere, like Emma was talking about, to do all of our shopping in one place digitally, both for discovery, but also for the need-based activities, which Emma, you were talking about last week in regards to pet food. I didn't know that before this broke out, because we are seeing that people are moving towards curbside pickup for same day, for cost effectiveness, all those things. But people are really thinking about that. And you're choosing where to shop, knowing where that's a factor. My wife did it this morning. We forgot our kids' stocking gifts, right? And it was, well, where can we go get them? Well, it's freaking December 23rd when we're recording this. You go to Instacart first. Think about that for a minute. I think that's going to have a pretty huge impact on retail. And last word here, and then we'll close it out.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, I don't think it's just at the major retailer level either. Like we've seen this holiday, like local mom and pop retailers, nobody is in the store shopping. And what can they do by saving money, you know, taking that associate that's on the sales floor that's not doing anything and being like, let's hand deliver gifts to people, or like, let's hand deliver this. We can't trust that it's going to get through shipping right now, but we're going to deploy our own customer associates. We got a listener email this week saying that like she had a local bakery that just hand delivered, like, we're going to be in the area, we're just going to drop this off for you, or like special things that need to get there in time. Like there's a reason that this has now got to be a priority for retailers large and small.
That's a really interesting point too, because like forever we thought about that as like the special service add-on, but in reality, it's just a fulfillment option that is now becoming table stakes because of what Amazon has pushed. Exactly. And I think it's important for people to realize the difference there, and that you're going to need the systems and infrastructure to the point where that's just not a like plus up premium service expectation. It's something you can just do day to day through your operations and your business model. And that puts the power in the long term in only a few players' hands. And I think that's what's really fascinating that we've got to think about. All right, well, that closes us up today. Thank you for sticking with us. Happy birthday, of course, as always. We've always got to do the happy birthdays. First and foremost to the late Corey Haim, the actor with the best alliteration in the movie business, Frederick Forrest from The Conversation, and my favorite actress from Planet of the Apes with Marky Mark, Estella Warren. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it Omni Talk. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news. And our twice weekly newsletter tells you the top 5 things you need to know each day, and also features special content exclusive to us and just for you, all within the preview pane of your inbox. You can sign up today at www.omnitalk.blog. Thanks for always as listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. And of course, as always, happy holidays to everyone listening, and be careful out there. The OmniTalk Fast 5 is brought to you by Takeoff. Takeoff is transforming grocery by empowering grocers to thrive online. The key is micro-fulfillment, small robotic fulfillment centers that can be leveraged at a hyper-local scale. Takeoff also offers a robust software suite so grocers can seamlessly integrate the robotic solution into their existing businesses. To learn more, visit takeoff.com. The OmniTalk Fast 5 is also brought to you by FastSensor. FastSensor is the first AI-powered business intelligence platform that provides business owners with ROI-focused optimization tools tailored to fit your organization. With FastSensor, you can successfully monitor safety, efficiency, and journeys across your organization, from customer flow to queue management to the effectiveness of digital signage and promotions. Visit fastsensor.com to learn more.